Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're going to be reviewing the New Testament album titled Titans of Creation. So we just listened to this album for an entire week non-stop. Now I'm going to take the floor and say that this album is awesome! I really enjoyed this album throughout the week, and it felt like it was one of those albums where songs were just jumping out at me, just standing out on their own. And, you know, we had our first impressions, we said what we said, but it's like not long after that, like the next day, I fell in love with Night of the Witch. That song's nasty. Just the riffs in that song kept gripping me. I already liked World War III. That was a cool song. Children of the Next Level, I liked already, and I liked when we checked out the video, but honestly, as the week went on, I just started to love that song. And I've noticed with a lot of the songs that really jumped out at me on this album, it's because the riffing is unique from each other, but it's still really catchy and it hits hard at the same time. Like, this band did a fantastic job making a collection of songs that all accomplish the same goal, but they all do it in different ways. It's really, really cool. Another one of the first ones that really stood out to me was Symptoms. Like, listen to that chorus. You just want to just smack something with a hammer when you hear that. It's just, it's nasty. Like, this album is just full of nasty stuff. And based on something I said last week, when I commented on this album saying, hey, it might work backwards, I made a playlist of the album backwards and I listened to it and it worked, but it didn't work the way I thought it would. Because, you know, it worked. I put it on backwards, I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Has a good flow, but it wasn't quite.
It doesn't feel like it was intentional.
Okay.
I don't, like, listening to it, I'm like, I don't feel like they meant for this, it just happened to work, and I think that's because a lot of the songs are similar to the degree that what they do, but, you know, it's not to a fault, which is really good, because I find a lot of bands really fall into that pitfall.
Yeah, you know what, I did enjoy this album too. I'm not sure, based on your reaction here, if I enjoyed it quite as much as you did, but it withstood the boredom factor for me. I didn't get bored of it listening to it, and I listened to this album quite a lot. I'd say probably a little bit more than I listened to typical albums. I guess I had more time on my hands this week. But yeah, I listened to it quite a lot. I didn't get bored of it. There were a few tracks that fell a little flat for me. Symptoms is actually one of those songs. The song right after that, False Prophet, is another one. But there were a few tracks that also stood out and I became quite a fan of. Night of the Witch, as you mentioned, is a great song. It's the meanest sounding song in this album. That's something that spoke to me. Chuck does this harsher vocal during the chorus, which was a highlight for me. The riffs are awesome. Children of the Next Level, track number 1, which is also the track that they brought a video out we reacted to. That song, from what I was listening to, had the most kind of elements about it that I was able to like pick out as like unique elements. It's got the gallop beat. Chuck does this cool harmonized vocal with a reverb effect in the chorus. It's pretty catchy. They got a hammer-on pull-off riff, which is something that's really cool. The second half of the solo kicks in. I love the way it does it, because the solo plays, and it's kind of like mediocre, and you think it's about to finish, and then all of a sudden it just kicks in with this dirty shredding, and I'm like, yes! Thank you for saving it. Like, it almost lost me, and then it comes in with a quick save, and I'm like, yes, that's how you do it. There's a lot of elements in the album. I found a lot of it kind of strayed a little bit from the thrash metal and went almost melodic death metal in certain ways, in different areas. There's some tremolo picking on, you know, songs like The Healers. You got D beats all over the place. There's a lot of cool stuff. There's even track number 11, Curse of Osiris, which was probably my second favorite song after Night of the Witch. It's got probably the fastest tempo on the album, harsh vocal, blast beats during the chorus, and certain elements of the song remind me of Kill 'Em All era Metallica. Specifically the part where he goes, "Pray for death." That part, pretty cool, remind me of old school James Hetfield, that kind of stuff. Really like that stuff. The one thing that kept on poking out at me throughout the week was the bass. The bass. The bass on this album is unique. It's special. It stands out. There's something about it that kept catching my attention. Now, there's a couple songs, obviously Ishtar's Gate and Code of Hammurabi, where it has basically a bass-like intro, right? So the bass is like front row center, prime real estate. when it comes to music and the fundamentals of music, the bass is kind of like the core of the rhythm section, right?
It's a big part of the foundation.
It's a big part of the foundation. And I feel like this bassist plays it, but in somewhat of a non-conventional way, because it seems like he's playing to a slightly different rhythmic pattern than the rest of the band. And what this causes is for certain bass notes to stick out prominently between the notes of other instruments. So if you remember from my first impressions, I said it sounds like I'm hearing the same two bass notes being plucked every once in a while. That's what I was hearing. It's just he's playing to a slightly different rhythmic pattern, so you're hearing the band play on one rhythmic kind of bass line, and he's kind of doing his own slightly different thing, and it's making these bass notes just pop out every once in a while.
But he's hitting the shots that he needs to hit.
Right, so what that does is it creates a very chunky, bassy feel in the music, but it doesn't overbear the bottom end, which is really cool. And it's not something that's special to this album or this band. This is something that I've actually heard a lot. In thrash metal, I think it's just a more prominent thing maybe in thrash metal. But it's something on this album that kept kind of jumping out at me more prominently because I guess I was paying close attention with intent ears. So that's something that I thought was pretty cool.
That's really interesting. Now, you mentioned that the album goes at times to a more melodic death metal kind of element, and I feel like that's prominent in songs like Dream Deceiver and City of Angels. What did you think of those songs, like as we listened to it over the week?
Dream Deceiver, the chorus of that song bugged me. I don't like the chorus. The rest of the song was not bad. I thought it was pretty cool. That's actually one of the songs I wrote a note about the bass player playing to his own rhythm, which gives the bass a more prominent place in the song. But that chorus was just a little raunchy to me. Just the sustained note on the word dreams, I didn't like that. It's not that it's bad singing, it's just,
I didn't mind it. It didn't really bug me.
Yeah, what was the other one you asked about? City of Angels?
City of Angels.
One cool part in that song is the talk box. He uses a talk box effect on the guitar, which is cool. Not anything super unique or whatever, but it's original to this album. That song's probably got one of the slower tempos on the whole album. It's not a bad song, but just nothing really jumped out at me except for that talk box part.
I thought it was a pretty neat song.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, let's get to rating this album. So I'll rate it. This album does a lot, and I feel like it's so cool to see an album have everything kind of in one nice little package, but it also has a lot of things that you can explore. I think this album is great for Testament fans, great for honestly anyone. This album gets my toe tag. It's just overall a really fun album to listen to. I did not get bored of it at all.
Yeah, my feelings just quite aren't there, based on the fact there's a couple songs that I really felt were bland, and there's parts of other songs, just parts, that I also thought felt a little flat. Overall, there wasn't really anything huge that jumped out at me that I loved, so I can't give it a toe tag, but it is a solid album. It does, do what it's supposed to do. I think Testament fans will like it. I think other fans can jump into and get into Testament because of this album, but I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right, respectable score. Toe tag from me and a 7 from Vile Self. So pretty good score for this album. Remember to check it out, guys. Anyway, that's all we got for you today. Remember to like the video if you like it. Tell us in the comments below if you like this album as much as I did or as much as Vile did. We both generally like the album regardless. Remember to subscribe if you guys are new to the channel and check out our Spotify playlists in the description below. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
And we'll see you guys later.